Today, Madhu, great to have you with us here.
Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having
your time.
me. Thank you so much.
So I want to start by asking you, we are throwing around words like exuberance, bubble, quite often nowadays. I mean, one starting to hear that. Do you feel that maybe we are in that kind of a zone where we need to use those kind of words to contextualize and describe the market, or not really?
Yeah. Thank you once again, Prashant. Very nice to catch up with you after a long time. I would say that the entire market is not in that phase at all. That, if you look at the return of overall Nifty in the last 2 years, is merely 7-8%, right? A lot of large caps have not returned any significant investment return in the last 2 years or so. We are up a lot from the low which we made at COVID time, but there is really the word exuberance in a lot of large companies. And the large companies are actually doing well, but the stock prices are not going down or going up, which means their valuations in a way are correcting. Like if you take some of the private sector banks, there's been hardly any return in last 2 years. So I don't think market as a whole can be termed as exuberance or
But are there
euphoria.
pockets where things are...
There are surely pockets, and obviously we would like to talk about that. There are surely pockets where there is clear exuberance, where I think the stock prices are clearly running ahead of fundamentals, right? Maybe 2-3 year fundamentals, and that is where investors need to be really watchful that and do their homework completely. And I can tell you there will be exuberance even in public sector bank. There is some stock, small public sector bank trading at 3 times book value. Now, we were the one of the few people who said that we want to invest in public sector bank. But clearly, I can't reconcile or resonate with a 3 times book value and which has risen so quickly.
Yeah.
So there are pockets of stocks in lot of sectors where there is a clear exuberance, and that is what one has to be watchful. The irony, Prashant, is that there is a compelling buy in the public sector bank at one end, and there is exuberance on the other end.
Within the sector. But let me stop you right there, because I'll get to where the exuberance is, where there is still opportunity in just a bit from now. But let's just start with the good stuff. Yeah. We are actually talking about exuberance, etc., because we are in a pretty good place.
Sure, right? Absolutely.
I mean, things are looking good for India as an economy, and that is the reason why people want to come in, people want to invest, and hence the talk of where the valuations justify this a lot. Exactly. So lay the context, in that sense, because there's a lot happening in the world.
Sure.
And this China +1, developed world perhaps slowing down a little bit. Where does India find itself within this context?
Prashant, this is the day for which people like me have lived for. That someday India will get recognized. Someday the world in general will talk about India much more than what we have been spoken and what we deserve. Right? All the good policies which are being persuaded by the government in the last maybe 8-10 years. It's all coming together. And this is coming at a time when, the world is struggling. World is struggling for the word growth. World is struggling to manage inflation. World is struggling to put together policies. Now, if you look at, let's say, for instance, just from a comparison perspective, China received $1.5 trillion of FDI in the last 10 years. Just imagine a small shift of that FDI into India. What kind of numbers can we attract over the next 10 years?
Right.
Yeah, so the way the world is geopolitically, reorganizing itself, India is a clear beneficiary.
Okay, let me take off from that what you said, right? And you're a big believer in themes, catching the right theme, right? Yeah. So global economy, as you said, perhaps is not looking as great, right?
Sure.
When things are slowing down.
Sure.
Locally, things are looking good. But locally also, you would agree there is a clear differentiation. Consumption is hurting, especially the lower
end consumption is hurting.
What is doing exceptionally well is government capex.
Sure,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So
and high-end consumption.
And high-end consumption.
Yes.
So are those, when you talk about themes, should we kind of limit ourselves to finding opportunities in these two areas, high-end consumption and sectors benefiting from government capex.
So let me talk about one very large theme before we come into specific investable themes.
Right.
So I personally feel that this whole carbon neutrality is a very, very large theme. And it's a much bigger problem than what the world is actually talking about or recognizing it. This is a very large theme. Like what you are seeing, whether even in India, when you look at what is Mr. Ambani talking, what is Mr. Adani talking, what is Mr. Jindal talking, they're all talking of investing billions of dollars into this theme, into green energy, into electric vehicles, so this is, Prashant, in my mind, a mega trend.
Which will last for many
many years.
Yeah.
The other thing which
bring it down to investables.
Yeah.
I mean, how does one?
So within that, you have to find
what
companies.
What have you
which
done? Give us a with of course full disclosure.
With the full disclosure, I just recently invested in a private company which I can talk very freely about. A company called Wari.
Okay.
Right, which will hopefully come into public issue soon. If people just follow this now, finding ideas in this theme is not a big issue at all. There will be many companies which will come, and there will be, I think, billions and billions of dollars of value creation opportunity is here.
Okay.
The other thing which I would like to take again, big picture, is on artificial intelligence.
Okay.
How that is going to impact the world, how it is going to reshape.
Sure.
This is an event which is happening after maybe 20 years after the invention of internet. In my understanding, this is the biggest event after internet. Now, it is early days, right? People like you and I are still reconciling how it is going to, and so there will be distortion into a lot of businesses, and it will be a big opportunity for a lot of businesses. So these are two really large themes, from a next 5, 10, 20-year perspective.
In the listed space, is there a way to play?
There will be enablers. There will be companies which will use, and you will hear a lot more of what I'm saying even from the IT services companies, and you should get some of them in your studio and ask them whether what I'm saying is
here and now themes from the futuristic ones.
Let me also tell you that is also here and now, but we can talk whatever you want.
So we discussed government capex as a big theme, right? And that's been growing gangbusters.
Exactly.
Which are the pockets where you think most of that money is going into? Which are the areas where you still see opportunity?
So I think infrastructure is one place where I still feel opportunity. That select companies in defense have seen very large gains. But I think selectively, as we were talking that word, euphoria, maybe you can see a little bit out there, right? The stocks have slightly become expensive from a near-term perspective, right? At least
same for railways, because that is another area
railway again is one thing which was very apt maybe 2 years back. Stocks were really suppressed. And some of the companies have seen significant upside. So let me just say, Prashant, if you are a 5 or a 10-year investor, you will still make money here because these are large themes, right? But if you are looking to make money from this level in the next 12 or 24 months, some of these stocks may consolidate or you may see some correction as well. And as we're discussing, within one sector also, you can find one very compelling idea and you can find euphoria within the sector also. But I think
near term, you're
infrastructure,
saying defense and railways, perhaps it's a little overheated.
A little overheated, for sure, in my opinion. And I reserve the right to be wrong, right? And second, infrastructure as a theme, I still feel is not really played out by the market as a whole. There are not many companies in which lots of research report is being done by brokers. And if you look at their quality of balance sheet has improved substantially. Their order book position has gone up many X in the last 2 years. And the government focus is clearly there to build rail, to build road, to build transmission lines, etc., etc. So that is where we are invested also. And we don't think stocks have become expensive there.
You have an investment in NCC, right?
Yeah, we have an investment in NCC, ITD Cementation, VATEP, Warburg. So some of these companies.
And these are all for the long haul. I mean, you think the potential is
purely for a long haul, absolutely.
Okay. What other specific area? Pharma is one bet that you've made.
Yeah, we took, and it has not worked out in the last 12, 18 months. Variety of reasons. The logistics cost in pharma had gone up a lot. And, last 2, 3, 4 quarters, numbers have not been good.
Right.
US FDA visits were very curtailed because of the COVID problem. But we continue to like pharma theme from a medium to long-term perspective. Some of the companies have already started reporting better than market expected numbers.
Right.
So I think pharma as a theme for the next 1-2 years.
But we're talking about domestic facing pharma?
It's a mix. It's a mix.
US generic?
US generic plus domestic pharma. It's a mix. When you talk, a lot of pharma companies are present in all the areas. Some of them are present only in US generic. But I see opportunities. Prashanta, in this, the trick actually really is only to be able to work on a bottom-up basis. If I tell you the theme is very good, and if you go and buy a company which has a lot of challenges, then that theme will not work for you.
Correct.
So I can clearly see that there are a lot of bottom-up opportunities here. Considering where the markets today are, and considering how much underperformance.
In a way, it's a relative call.
It's a relative call,
right?
Absolutely.
Because
relative call, and there will be absolute money made.
Absolute money made. Of course. Financials is another big area, which, of course, I mean, it's 40% of the index in that sense when you talk about large cap financials.
So I would love to talk to you. So they basically, if you look at 25% or 27% of the overall market cap is financial companies, right? There are roughly 100 companies listed in financial companies, which account for 25% of the market cap, right? And if you are in a bull run, this is the best leverage you can buy. Because when you want to play the bull run, on 1 rupee equity, there is 7, 8, 10 rupees of leverage which banks have, right? Because of their nature. So if you are truly in a bull run, right, then best way to play the bull run is to play the leverage. And I get a diversified leverage. When I play the banks, I get diversified leverage. It's not in one pocket that if that goes down, then I will have a challenge, right? And again, banks, at least some of the really good quality banks, have also not done much in the last 2 years. So again, I don't want to tell you that whole financial sector is an opportunity. There is, as we discussed in the beginning itself, there might be some euphoria in select NBFC, in select PSU banks. But sector as a whole, I really love this sector. It provides, if you look at the last 10, 15-year track record, every year, without fail, there is at least 2 or 3 or 4 multi-bagger opportunities within the financial sector.
Within the space, right. By the way, Indian Overseas Bank across the market cap of once a name that you own, which is Canada Bank.
But
I mean, that kind of makes the point of what you were talking about earlier, right?
That's how
within the sector there is...
that's how the markets are. And that is why, to really make money, you have to really work on your company which you own. While the theme is very important.
Right.
The theme is equally important as the company
is.
Now, let me tell you, Indian Overseas Bank, which you mentioned, which of course I don't own, has made more money than Canada Bank. But the fact is that, the theme worked. So everything has worked.
Everything has worked. You own Canada Bank, you own IIFL Finance, Karur Vysya Bank.
That's right.
And anything else, I mean, within that space?
No, we have some large banks as
well. Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. I mean, financials is one. Before I come to the next sector, Madhu, I want to just tell our viewers that everything that we're discussing, stocks, sectors, it's for the purpose of education to try and understand, I mean, how, as a veteran, he thinks about these ideas, these themes, and how he decides to take bets. It's not telling you to buy or sell stocks.
Exactly. It's not a recommendation from me.
Let's talk about the next one, which is China plus one. Yeah. You told us earlier in the interview about the troubles that China is facing.
Yes.
And that FDI number and what could happen if a small percentage. Are you seeing that happening in a large way?
It's clearly just beginning, Prashant. It's clearly there on the ground. Because what COVID has done, previously when outsourcing meant that you want to buy the cheapest thing, right? Now, post-COVID, people have also started thinking that what if that whole source closes down? Then what happened in chips? The world actually came to a standstill. So we can clearly see willingness of a lot of companies worldwide to maybe make India as a second base, right? And the government policy of this PLI is just came at the right time. When the world is really struggling with only one source, and PLI is a big thing, Prashant. Let me tell you, they are planning to do 2 lakh crore rupees of PLI over the next 5 years. If all of that gets consummated, which means we are talking of roughly 40 lakh crore rupees of turnover, then only at 5% I can get roughly numbers, right? Then only we can get to 2 lakh crore rupees of incentive. Now, these are very large numbers. And in certain sector like EMS, you can already see, certain sector like textiles, you can already see. And when you talk to people in this industry, they will reconfirm to you
that is happening.
That it is happening, it is just beginning.
Again, the problem though with like electronics is the second largest import for the country, so it makes sense to make a lot of the stuff here, and that is happening as you say.
Yeah, exactly.
But are people already bidding these stocks up, and one needs to be...
Stocks, you have to be careful. See, again, opportunity and stock market are two completely different things.
Right.
And as we said that stock what you want to buy from a larger theme. Ultimately, you have to do your work, you have to do cash flow, you have to do valuation.
But on a general basis,
on a general basis, there will be a lot of opportunities in this China Plus One theme over the next 5 to 10 years. That I can tell you.
And electronics is top of the... I mean,
electronics,
if it is a sector which is...
forging, engineering stocks, textiles, there will be chemicals. So it will not be one sector. It will be, from variety of sectors, this will come. And you just have to be watchful about, when stocks become attractive. Prashant,
but there is a certain...
attractiveness of market, my friend, you have also seen. Not long back, in the month of March, which is just 4 months back, there was so much of gloom here and there that a story looks over, this, that, and stocks had corrected a lot.
31st of March was the...
So I want to tell you one most important thing which I learned and which I want to share with all the viewers. Doing work on a company and execution, you have to make two different compartments.
Right.
When you learn about a company, that is not necessarily the day that you want to go and buy the company. You have learned about a company, you have done your research, it is not falling into your parameters of value, right? I'll keep my work ready. I am sure there will be some external event which will happen in the world, and it keeps happening. In 32 years, I have seen hundreds of events happen in the world, and maybe that will provide me the opportunity to enter that company.
Correct.
Most of the time, the mistake which we do, that when you do the research or we learn about the company, same day you want to go and execute.
Which is the problem.
Which is the problem.
Utilities is another area which I think you do find comfort. Is that a relative call, or you think on an absolute basis you will make a lot of money here in this space?
So we are only looking at green energy.
Okay.
I have not invested
on the
in
thermal
that.
side.
No,
or
thermal side we have not invested in that. And whatever investment which we had, of course, sold some of them. But I am very, very positive on the green energy side.
You want to talk to us about, again, with the disclosure that we already made, you bought a company called Transformers and Rectifiers, right? Recently. Just the thought process behind making that investment.
So with due disclosure that this is not an invitation to buy this company. Absolutely. So this is a small transformer company based out of Gujarat. So what we saw that, you require 2.5, 3 times more transforming capacity to transmit green power, whether it is wind or solar. So demand for general transformers will be very, very high, because most of the power capacity which is being added is being added into green on the green side. Right? Second, of course, if you see, there is a clear consolidation which has happened in the sector, where the sector went through a very rough time. A lot of very old companies, some of them got liquidated, some of them are still facing liquidity issues, etc. Third, when we talk about the China Plus, now you just imagine if Ukraine has to be rebuilt. Given the geopolitical situation, will they buy any transformer from China?
Unlikely.
Unlikely, right? So where will they buy the transformer from? So now again, I am a dreamer, I dream, I do my work, and I take a bet.
But what is the dream here?
The dream is that can this be, is there an opportunity for this company to be a few thousand crore revenue company? According to my judgment, yes, there is an opportunity. But let me again tell you, the people who are following me, I want to do with folded hands, request them that I have a 3 to 5 year horizon in many of these companies. If you want to really do research, you do your homework, and if you have a 3 to 5 year perspective, then definitely consider investing into my team. But if you want to make quick money, I don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to do it. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said. One more name I want to ask you to talk about. Repro is a company. Again, it doesn't fit in any of the themes in that sense, but it's a very interesting idea. It's a very interesting business. Has been listed for a long time, but you made a purchase there. What was the idea again?
So again, Prashant, nobody talk stock specific, but you are. But with full disclosure, again,
Yes,
I would say it's a unique concept. That it is, in my opinion, it has a concept which can disrupt the whole publishing industry in a very big manner, because they have the capability to print a book on demand.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So all of this inventory which is being kept, whether it is a retailer or a distributor, and if I can print a book, and it is more economical, considering all the costs, because I am removing all the cost of commissions.
So this enables what? Just-in-time?
It enables just-in-time book delivery.
So you don't have to have a large inventory of books kept at...
So basically, you have digitally equipped yourself that you can print one book on demand, and you can put 500 books simultaneously of different subjects at one go.
Okay.
So it's just a theme, it's a just idea. I liked it. Let's see how it plays out.
Well, those are two ideas. Fantastic that you could share your thought process, and I think
the whole idea was to share the thought process. We never talk about individual companies, but you are quite persistent, I must say.
And I hope it was useful for all our viewers. Learning from a veteran in terms of how he identifies themes and kind of bets on opportunities. Madhu, it's a pleasure having you with us here.
Thank you so much.